feel like you constantly have to walk on eggshells around someone? That no matter what you say or do, somehow they always twist your words around, they blame you, and always end up on top. This is part of the exhausting cycle of being in a relationship with a narcissist. Narcissists lack empathy, they crave attention, and they are self-centered. They will charm, lie, cheat, and gaslight in order to get what they want, often at other people's expense. But you don't have to get caught up in their mind games. There are specific strategies, there are things that you can do to protect yourself and to handle a narcissist. In this video, we'll go over 8 evidence-based strategies to help you set boundaries and protect your mental health. Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Barker. I'm a therapist, educator, and consultant, and I love giving people tips for how to protect their mental health and start living their best lives. So what are these 8 strategies for how to handle a narcissist? Let's get into it. Strategy number 1 is to set and maintain firm boundaries. Research shows that the ability to set boundaries protects your mental health. And you're going to need to protect yourself or to set boundaries in a variety of areas. So you need to set emotional, physical, legal, and financial boundaries to protect yourself from the narcissist. Now, don't expect the narcissist to respect those boundaries. In fact, expect the opposite. Narcissists are going to try to push your buttons and push the envelope. They're going to manipulate and they're going to violate your boundaries. So be sure to set clear limits. Decide what you will and will not accept. Communicate that clearly and assertively, and then decide on the consequences, what's going to happen if they continue to violate your boundaries, and then enforce those consequences. For instance, if this is a person who constantly criticizes you, just calmly and consistently tell them, I will not engage in those kinds of conversations. Strategy number 2 is to avoid engaging in power struggles. Try to avoid getting into conflicts or arguments with a narcissist, because narcissists thrive on control and conflict, and engaging them in those kinds of arguments only fuels their tactics. So try to avoid topics that you know are likely to escalate. Try to avoid making a point or getting defensive, because again, that's only going to feed in to the narcissist's behavior. Try instead to give more neutral responses. So for example, you could say, interesting point, let me think about that, or I'll get back to you on that. Or you could even say, I don't agree with your opinion, or I don't agree with you, but you are entitled to your opinion. Strategy number 3 is the gray rock method. What this means is to limit your emotional responses. Narcissists thrive on drama, so they will often do things to push your buttons and to try to get an emotional reaction out of you. So when you stay calm and you stay neutral, you deprive the narcissist of that power and attention that they crave. So yes, practice doing that. Practice giving more neutral, calm, dull responses like a gray rock. Strategy number 4 is don't take it personally. Research shows that narcissists often project their own insecurities onto other people. So no matter how insulting they are or how much they criticize or belittle you, realize that that has more to do with what's going on with them than it has anything to do with your own self-worth. Narcissists often try to make other people feel inadequate because they're trying to fill their own need for validation and self-worth. So it's helpful to remember when they do these things, it really says more about them than it does about you. Number 5 is to protect yourself, not just emotionally, but also legally. This is critical, especially in relationships where there may be financial and legal entanglements. So in high-stakes situations, such as if it's a divorce or a workplace conflict or business deal. So I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give legal advice, but it's a good idea to keep good, careful documentation of all your interactions, of all your transactions that you might have with the narcissist. Strategy number 6 is to prioritize self-care and emotional support. In other words, take good care of yourself. Being in a relationship with a narcissist can be exhausting. It can drain you. And in extreme cases, when there is psychological, emotional, and sometimes even physical abuse, that type of trauma can have lasting effects. So do all of those things that you know involve good self-care. Get involved in things that you enjoy. Exercise, do yoga, journal, do mindfulness exercises, and reach out to those people who are supportive of you, right? The people who genuinely validate your feelings and acknowledge your emotions. And in extreme cases, not even extreme cases, it can be very helpful to also get some therapy. So if needed, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and reach out for some professional help. Strategy number 7 is the no contact method, meaning either no contact, like cutting off contact with a narcissistic person, or limiting contact with that person. So research shows that when you limit your exposure to a toxic person, that does improve your mental health. But we also recognize that there may be situations, such as if it's a family member or a coworker, where complete no contact may not be possible. In those situations, it's recommended that you have limited or reduced contact. And then when you do have to have contact, you use the other strategies that we've talked about so far. Strategy number 8 is to lower your expectations and recognize that the person is not likely to change. Something like narcissistic personality, a personality disorder, is very deeply ingrained and resistant to change. So it's helpful to realize that this is who the person is, and that you accept them for who they are, and realize that trying to change them is futile. So it's helpful here to remember what Maya Angelou said, that she said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So those were the 8 research-based strategies for how to handle the narcissist. And now, here are the bonus tips, I promise. Bonus tip number 1 is to use assertive communication. We mentioned assertive communication a couple of times so far in the video, but what is that really? To be assertive means saying what you mean and saying it in a calm, clear, and concise way. So for example, when you set those boundaries, right, you're going to be very clear about what you will and you will not tolerate, but you're not going to engage emotionally. You're not going to let that person push your buttons and get you engaged in some drama. You're just going to say it very calmly, very clearly, and be firm about what you're saying. So that is assertive communication. Bonus tip number 2 is to believe words. Nope, sorry, I said that backwards. Bonus tip number 2 is to believe actions, not words, because narcissists can be very charming and very manipulative. They know the right thing to say to get you to do what they want. However, or they may say whatever it is that you want to hear, but that's part of the manipulation. And then they might do that, but then never follow through. So that's why it's important to believe actions, not words. Watch what the person does more than what they say. Bonus tip number 3 is to seek your own validation. In other words, don't look to the narcissist for validation. Narcissists very rarely provide genuine or authentic validation. They may say very charming, flattering things, but there's always a motive behind it, right? They're usually doing it because they're trying to manipulate you or trying to maintain some sort of power and control over you. And they will very easily flip that around, and it turns more into gaslighting and to belittling and criticizing. So the most powerful thing that you can do is to provide validation for your own needs, right? To build up your own sense of self-worth, your own self-esteem. So you're not dependent on that narcissistic person to provide that for you. And by doing so, you are robbing that narcissist of the power and control that they want to have over you. And besides providing validation for yourself, it's also helpful within your support network to surround yourself with people who genuinely care about and are concerned about and love you, and who will provide that authentic validation, who will respect your boundaries and respect your emotions. And bonus tip number 4 is to educate yourself about narcissistic behavior. Now, that might have been a given so far. Maybe you already know what the characteristics are of a narcissistic person. But remember, knowledge is power. That the more you know, the less power the narcissist has over you, and the more you have empowered yourself. So make sure you know what the signs and symptoms are of narcissistic personality disorder. If you don't know what those are, be sure to check out my video where I describe the official signs and symptoms, right? The diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. I hope that learning these strategies helped you feel empowered. Dealing with a narcissist can be challenging, but remember, you don't have to engage in their games. Setting boundaries, protecting your well-being, and staying grounded in your own reality are key. Protect your peace and walk away if necessary. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone that might need it. And in the comments below, share with me some of your stories, some of the strategies that you have used to deal with some of the difficult people in your life. But most of all, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.